All right, guys, welcome to the stream. I've got Danny with me here, and we are going to go over Kippers Melee, the tournament here in Nanaimo. But we're going to go over some tournament lists from our team that's going, as well as some other lists that we find, are either notable players or something in there is a little spicy. So, say hi, Dan.
Hello.
All right, so we'll kick it off right in here. So, the tournament itself is a 5-game tournament. Last year was 6. This year is down to 5. And Dan Miner is the TO of the event, and we are going to be using terrain from Miner's creation as well. That's his own terrain here. You can see on the screen. We're gonna just quickly go over the rules and as well as like what missions we're playing. So day one, we do have some. There is a full. What do they call it, Danny? When you're doing the paint scoring?
Oh, battle ready.
No. The hobby track. The full. It's not a matrix, but it's the full hobby track for painting.
Yeah, I think Matrix is the right word for that in that regard.
Yeah, so there'll be some judgment going on there. So we've got round 1, which is mission pool B, which is priority targets, hidden supplies, and search and destroy. So what does that mean, Dan?
So it's a hold 1, hold 2 for each command phase, and then end of the game, it's up to 15 points for each objective you control at the end of the game. Even if you're going second, you still score at the start of your command phase. Then you also then end up scoring the end of the game when you go second. So it's a pretty big swing points.
Yeah.
Hidden supplies means that there's a second no man's land objective towards the center. So there's a total of 6 objectives.
And this is one of these ones that's pretty easy to get. At least 40 on the primary.
Potentially, it's going to really depend on how many guys want to bully each other off primary.
That's true. And then search and destroy is what type of deployment again?
That should have been the corner deployment, if I remember correctly.
Nice.
Yeah, should
So
be.
yeah, so if you're looking at the screen, that's they're going to be playing the first 3 rounds on GW layout 1, which is the top one. So this is the kill box in the center.
Yeah.
Round 2, mission pool C, the ritual, scrambler fields, and sweeping engagement.
So for that one, it's just a single no man's land objective in the center. You have to have units give up their activations to generate additional objectives that have to be exactly 9 inches from another objective, more than 6 from any other objectives, and within 1 inch of the unit. It's an interesting way of swinging around the objectives. I know this one kind of has a love-hate relationship for some people because A, you have to give up units to generate the objectives. B, it can be abused by certain armies, or if players set it up right. People who've had practice with this can make a difference. And the main thing that people hate is scrambler fields, so you can't deep strike onto the area that objective takes up.
And you can't. I believe you can't scout, and you can't infiltrate onto the objectives either. Correct. So I mean, there is going to be that center objective that you got to go 9 off of. So I personally like this mission as a Custodes player. So
there is a tiny spot due to the way, because it's the kind of long triangle deployment. There's a spot where you can swing off of your home objective 9 inches. Yeah, it's a very small area you can put it in, but there is a spot you can put it down. So
nice. I usually put one directly behind that force field right there, and then I actually string another one back and create a little triangle for myself. And then if I want going forward, I basically, the thing that I love about this as a Custodes player is that I'm always on an objective because I'm either taking you off yours or I'm on one of mine.
So where this is scary is if someone's playing a list that has multiple sticky objective units, it becomes very easy for them to drop and forget and move forward.
Votann.
Votann.
CSM.
Nerval cultists.
Yep, Nurgle cultists, and they are a pain. So, after that, round 3, mission pool G, sites of power, chilling rain, and hammer and anvil.
So this is hammer and anvil deployment, or as some players I've played with, I like to refer to as hamburger deployment.
Yep,
It's going to be 3 points per objective you hold, up to maximum of 15. You get additional 3 points for any of the no man's land objectives that have a character on it that you control.
yeah, you're empowering them.
Yeah, this is also included in the 15 cap per turn. And then at the end of at the 5th battle round, the person going second scores at the end instead of the beginning. So this is a very character centric setup. So people who have got precision can try and abuse that to hopefully deny their opponents some extra points. But let's see how that turns out.
Yeah, and then chilling rain, which is nothing. And then we get to go for dinner, get some time off, and then we're back Sunday, round 4, mission pool O.
I will note here, mercifully, that last year when they had this 6 games. I believe they started the games either at 7 or 8 a.m. on the second day.
And on the second day, they started really early.
It was brutal.
It was brutal. It was brutal. Last year was a really interesting tournament that I had. I'll go into it after we finish the mission pack. But in mission pool, we got Vital Ground, Chilling Rain, and Crucible of Battle.
So Vital Ground is a sort of an encouragement to push forward. You only get 2 victory points for holding your home objective, 5 for each no man's land you control, and then 6 if you control your opponents. Person going second will score at the end of the turn in the 5th battle round. So this one's kind of definitely encourages you to not sit in your deployment zone and castle up. It's going to want you to get you to try and push out, but also kind of the work around that.
And then also to just to say this too. So on day 2, we are switching to GW layout 4, which is the bottom one there. And then in round 5 is mission pool L, Scorched Earth, Chilling Rain, and Dawn of War.
So this is going to be the long ways deployment, or again, as some players have played with, referred to as a hot dog deployment. It's for this one is based off of you hold 1, hold 2, and then you can get extra points for burning objectives. This one gets a little bit interesting. You do have to be within 1 inch of the actual objective token itself to burn it.
Yes.
However, it requires a full round essentially to be able to fully burn that objective.
And you can't burn it in round 5.
You cannot, because it takes a full round to complete.
Yeah, it specifically, I believe, says you score it in the command phase, not end of game. So, no, this one is tricky.
Yeah. So
you really got to get an objective and live.
But the interesting thing is you don't want to burn the objectives you're on too soon, because you want to try and get your primary out of that. If someone's able to get onto, let's say, your home objective and burn that, that's going to be a huge swing. So
I think that the trickiness with this one is just, if you notice on that terrain, those little patches on the that's going to be really interesting with the objectives. So
the other part with layout 4 is that with where the primary is going to be placed, they are going to be in fairly open spots where there will be lanes of fire. It's going to be quite an interesting game. The one thing I will say with Dan's pick of the missions, at least the Chilling Rain is at the end of the tournament, so you don't have to as you get tireder, you don't have to. You get, what is this special rule, right? That you got to remember. So, the scrambler fields. Damn it.
Exactly. So one big thing to also keep in mind is that the Kippers Melee is also a qualifier for the GW World Finals. So the winners are going to be getting money and financial help to go and get a golden ticket. So that is very, very cool. Yeah, so I mean, congratulations early to the winner. If you can end up getting to the World Finals, that'll be really crazy. So, all right. Before we grab too much of the list, I was going to tell you what my crazy story was last year. Is I was in the middle of a big project for work, and I literally was working crazy hour days. And my Friday, I worked half a day, picked people up, went over, took a ferry, went to the island. Didn't sleep well that night. Played the whole next day, won all 3 games. And my entire thought in my head for the entire tournament was just run at people, just send Custodes. Right? That was I was too tired to focus on anything else.
I have work at home. Just get this done so I can go home and finish it.
Pretty much. I figured out 22 straight days before I went to the tournament, and I had another week of work for a job site. Actually, 2 weeks worth of work, and so I just ran at people, and it worked. And second day, I won all 3 games, and I ended up winning the tournament. Went 6-0. But yeah, that was my entire strategy, was just run at people. And I always say that the thing that won me the tournament, which is no longer a thing in 10th edition, is my Vexilla. My Vexilla, my -1 to hit, came in clutch in game 6 against Knights, because Knights like to hit on 3s, and he rolled so many 3s, he was getting so upset. So I think that won me the tournament. But
we'll have to see that works again for you.
Yes, we'll see. I mean, we'll go over my list here shortly, but we'll jump into Brent's list. So Brent's going to be running VanGuard Onslaught. So fast-moving Tyranids, not the heaviest hitters out of the Codex, but this list can do some work. And one of the big things was the enhancements. And I'll let you go over the enhancements on this list.
So to quickly go over it first. So he's running VanGuard Onslaught. So the whole army is able to fall back and charge, and any VanGuard Invader units are able to advance and charge.
Yes.
In this case, his list, the only things that can't advance and charge are the 2 Trigons, the Moloch, and the Ripper Swarms,
which are all going to probably be coming in from Deep Strike. So
the 2 enhancements he has is on 1 Broodlord, he has Stalker, so he can pick 1 unit in the opponent's army, and the Bearer, every time the Bearer specifically makes an attack that targets the enemy unit, they get +1 to hit and wound.
That's pretty spicy.
It doesn't buff the unit they're with, but Broodlords are still pretty good.
Yeah. Do Broodlords have precision?
I don't believe they do, but they do have Dev Wounds and Twin Linked.
Oh, yeah. So they are spicy. Strength 6, -2 damage. So
the second enhancement is Neuronode, and this one I like this list especially, as it lets, after both the players have deployed their armies and after first turn is determined, the VanGuard Invader player can redeploy 3 units, or put them either elsewhere on the board, or put them in strategic reserves.
Spicy.
So with the Gene Stealers, he can choose to, if he goes first, redeploy those 3 units with the Broodlords on the line, I believe Scout 8. Then they can move 8, advance, and then charge, moving at least 19 inches in the first turn, and then charging.
This reminded me of, like, what was it, the Gene Stealers out of
9th edition.
Gene Stealer Cult, where they're like in your deployment zone turn 1, because nastiness. So he's got some gargoyles here, so just some speed, but just some stuff to hold objectives. 3 units of Gene Stealers, a couple of Lictors, and then like you say, the Ripper Swarms are probably just there to do secondaries and also, or just move block what he needs. And then also the Winged Hive Tyrant. I would probably say that's probably going to start in Deep Strike. I mean, it depends on the army, right, that he's going to go up against. It probably might start in Deep Strike. But yeah, no, I think this is a spicy list. I think it's a lot of bodies, and it's going to be all over the battlefield. And I know that's the way Brent likes to play. I was surprised he wasn't playing. I think it was Unending Swarm, because he loves his gaunts, but this is a version of that. So
Have to see how it goes.
yeah, moving on. All right, we got Chris Powell's Demons. So if you've been watching the last weekend or two, we've been doing the MTT tournament in house, and this is, I believe, a variation of that list.
Yes. So to quickly go over the enhancements he has here, he has 1 Demon Prince of Chaos that is Spark Nurgle with the Endless Gift.
Yeah.
So with that, he's going to be getting a 5-up Feel No Pain on it, unless it's in the Shadow of the Warp, in which is a 4-up Feel No Pain.
Spicy.
Bloody Nightmare to deal with.
Yep.
The next one is one with Wings at Slanesh that has the Soul Stiller, in which every time it destroys an enemy model with attack, you roll a dice, adding 1 to the result if it's within Shadow of Chaos. On a 4-up, regains a wound, so it can be very hard to kill with how much it can heal up.
Nice.
And then the last one is just the Corn one, where it gets +1 attack and strength, and then it's +2 instead if it's within the shadow.
Yeah.
You want to go over the list?
Yeah, so he's got 2 units of 3 Nurgling the Swarms again, just probably doing secondaries, or because Swarms again can't hold objectives, so they're there for move blocking and some other shenanigans. The Plague Bearers, I would imagine, are just going to be chaff to hold down objectives, but then he's also got the Beast of Nurgle. Those guys used to be really cool, and I don't know how are they intense. I haven't played Demons.
So they're very similar to before, where they will regain their wounds. However, the main thing that made the difference is that in 9th edition they used to do mortal wounds on 6s to hit. Now it's 6s to wound, so they got a little worse.
Okay.
Let me just double check the.
And then we got some Screamers flying around, and then 1 Skull Cannon. So it was a little bit of a change, I believe, from his list in the tournament, but overall, actually, sorry, I have played Demons once, but it was Monster Mash. It was all the big greater demons, and he decided to charge me a lot, and it didn't end up well for him. So, but
I
yeah.
know Chris's list interests me a bit. I'm surprised he didn't take Shalaxi because he was having good experiences so far with Shalaxi, but I guess he wants to run more Demon Princes.
I think the one thing with Slacks, you see so many points, you basically lose, like you can almost think like you'd lose like the right hand side of the screen as far as points, right? Just into her.
She's a quarter of the army at 450.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's I think before obviously an auto take, but with the point increase, I think she's borderline. Yeah. So
it'll be interesting to see how these Demon Princes do, because they are surprisingly hard to kill. So
yeah, I lost Trajan to her in my game. He precision Trajan out. I almost saved him on his Feel No Pain, but she got him. But
watching Dan toss like half of what looked like almost half his army at the time into Shalaxi, charging with a big Brigand Hearthguard and a champion, and doing like a handful of damage.
1 damage.
Yeah, that was sad.
That was real sad. And then got precisioned out, and then annihilated. So, but Jake's list. Now, Jake, his Eldar list has been nasty for a while, but I think this is a bit of a toned down list. This is more of a mission list than just obliterate you off the board list. I could be wrong. I've only played Eldar a couple of times, and usually they have the big walkers, and it was a little bit of a different layout. But if you want to go over the enhancements on this one.
Sure. This one's nice and quick. The only one is on the Wayleaper. He's got the Phoenix Gem. So when the Wayleaper dies on a 2-up, it gets back up with all the wounds.
Nice.
Mind if I cover the list for this one? Because it's a little more interesting.
Go for it.
I've ran against Jake's Eldar list before at a smaller TT, and he had a rude awakening to Grey Knights.
Yes.
It was sort of an army looking at it's like, oh yeah, they're not doing too well. He walked away from that table a changed man, it felt like. He was convinced that Grey Knights were not a balanced army. So it's interesting to see some of the changes he did here instead of what he was running before.
Yeah.
I know. So he's got Wayleaper with Phoenix Gem. He's running with Fusion Gun. He's got a Skyrunner, Farseer, Fuegan, the Incarn, 3 Fire Prisms, Night Spinner, Ranger, 2 units of Shadow Specters, a War Walker, 2 Warp Spider, or and then 2 units of Warp Spiders.
Yeah.
The Fire Prisms are interesting. I know they work really well against big targets, and they do have a blast weapon.
I hate the
But
Night Spinner. God, do I hate the Night Spinner.
you're not alone. I don't. I think even Eldar players tolerate it because it's good, but it feels like
Yeah.
a unit that just no one's happy going against.
The only thing I hate more than the Night Spinner is the T-Sun's Sorcerer on a Disc, or that can do almost the same thing, which is almost, I don't know which one's worse, because the Night Spinner is -2 to your move,
You can't.
and you can't advance, but you can still charge. But if you're out in left field, you're moving 4 inches, like for a Custode, right? Or whatever. You're moving, you're just plugging along, right? And
God forbid your Death Guard.
yeah, oh god, yeah, exactly, right? Like if you're Terminator's Death Guard, oh god. And then you've got, the T-Sun's sorcerer. He's brutal. He's -2. He's half your move, half your advance, half your charge.
Oh,
Yeah. So your possible threat range is 12 inches with a perfect advance and charge.
for Custodes.
It's brutal.
That can. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hard to say.
Yeah. It was painful. Shout out to Carson, who taught me a lesson on those guys. I had a set of wardens I put down in the wrong spot, and then they just like for the rest of the game. So, but I'll let you finish with the list.
So I know there's some interesting shenanigans he has with the Ynnari in regards to, let's say, like Fuegan and the Waylaper dying and getting back up because they still count as dying. He can use that to bring the Ynnari around the place.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure he included the Shadow Specters as options for dealing with elite infantry, such as Terminators. But it looks like he kept several, at least familiar things. It'll be interesting to see how he ends up placing with his adjustments.
Yeah, and then be the other thing. I hate Fire Prisms too because of their stupid, like, oh, I can see the tail end of this one, and this one can see this one, and we're just going to rebound our shots through them. Yeah, painful.
So
but
it's painful if you have vehicles or very elite things, but if you have like Terminators or like with you lots of Guardians, they're not as bad because it's like, oh, there's 6 shots and I got a 4 Binvolm. So even if he hits moves with all of them, maybe he'll kill 3 dudes.
Yeah.
So
the interesting thing about them is Jake is a good player, and he can keep them hidden and stick one out, right, and do his shenanigans. And at least now he can't phantasm them back. So that's good. So moving on to Liam's Necrons. Now, I know he's got all the characters. What we found interesting in this list is there's not a lot of infantry. Like he's got 10 warriors. He's got the 10 Lich Guard. The Crypto Thralls, I would imagine, are going into the Lich Guard. And who gives the 4-up? Is it the Technomancer or the Chronomancer?
The Chronomancer gives, I believe, a 5-up Envel.
Or the 5-up.
Yeah. Check here.
Yeah, I know that Lich Guard or the Warrior Blobs can be basically really hard to get rid of.
So the Chronomancer gives a -1 to hit against the units, and then the Technomancer should be the one that gives the 5-up Feel the Pain.
Yeah. So, I mean, the key to this list, if you look at it, he's got the Reanimated Ring guys back. He's got the Ghost Arc for transport. He's got 3 Doomsday Arcs, and those guys can put out substantial firepower. And if you get a chance to go back and look at the tournament games, you can actually see Liam's soul leave his body when his Satan dies in round 1 against the Black Templars. So
I will say an interesting thing with this list is that the Doomsday Arcs, they do hit for a lot of damage, so there's something to watch out for. From the way it looks like it's set up, both the 10-man unit of warriors that'll start in the Ghost Arc and the 10 Lich Guard will both have -1 hit effects. The Chronomancer is giving -1 hit, likely to the Necron warriors, and I believe he gives an effect where they can do normal move after shooting.
Nice.
And then the Overlord, the Hypermaterial Ablator, gives the bearer's units the stealth rule and the benefit of cover if they're being targeted from more than 12 inches away.
Oh, nice.
So
And he's got the orb. Yeah.
yes, so those 10 Lich Guard are going to have -1 to hit and -1 to wound if you're shooting at them. Potentially with
All
cover.
right, Trajan, you know what blob we need to go into.
Yeah. So the modifiers are definitely not going to be fun for a lot of armies.
Yeah.
I'm curious on whether the 10 warriors are enough,
Mhm.
even if they have like -1 to hit and move, shoot, move.
Yeah, I know. Warriors are a little bit with 1 wound each. Yeah, that 10 can get picked up, but we'll see. I mean, he's been playing Necrons a long time, so. But I think obviously the keys to this list are the Doomsdays and the Satan. Those are big chunks of this list that need to perform. Right.
Yes.
I mean, the Satan can earn its points back by doing secondaries. That's one of the keys, but it does need to perform.
Liam, this is a message to you. Don't let the Satan go in front of the enemy army. Okay? Don't give him up, please.
Yeah.
I beg you.
Don't rely on it to live. Yeah. All right. My list. I'm gonna let you pick it apart, and then I'll add in a little bit of this or that.
I'll go over it. You don't have to go too much. So we got Custodes. We've got the Blade Champion with the Ceaseless Hunter, which I believe if someone ends a normal move within 9 inches, you can move up to 6 inches afterwards.
Yeah, normal move, advance. Yeah, I think it's a normal move, fallback or advance within 9.
You've got a Shooting Captain with Inspirational Exemplar, which bumps their leadership up to a 5-up, and then is it once per game or once per round? You can pick
once per game. Once per game. Anybody within 12 could just unbattle shock.
Yeah.
So
Trajan, have to have him.
Yep, Trajan, the man, the myth. Yep.
3 bricks of 5 Custodian with spears. 1 brick of 5 Custodians with shields and a Vexilla.
Yep.
You've got a unit of Prosecutors with their bolt guns.
Yep.
You've got 2 units of 3 Custodians with spears. Alaris Custodians. And then a unit of 5 Vigilators with their Green Blades.
Yep.
So I've played against this list before as well, and you've changed a couple of things. The bricks of Custodian Guard are, even at half the size that they can be, at a 5-man with a character attached usually, they are terrifying with the amount of melee output they can put in. Because hitting on 2s at strength 7 -2/2 with like 4 or 5 attacks a model with potentially
5,
more.
yeah.
5 attacks a model with reroll 1s to wound or reroll all wounds, and then once per game shooting twice. They can put out quite a bit of work for their points.
Yes.
The 5 Custodian Guard with shields. If someone tries to put some work into them, you can always choose to put -1 damage to them. 4 wounds a model makes them hard to pick up. The Prosecutors and Vigilators, just cheap sisters, great for doing secondaries, keep them reserved for such a thing. The bolt guns, fun enough, gets precision and devastating wounds against Psyker units.
Yes, so if they shoot a Psyker unit, they get precision and dev wounds. The Vigilators. Oh, sorry, I'll let you keep going.
Yes, they already have dev wounds base for melee. Terrifying little things.
They are anti-Psyker 4-up.
Yeah.
So I had a unit of 4 of them go into a squad of 3 zones and just off the board. So they can do actions, but they can if I go into a psychic heavy army, they can come down, do a 9-inch charge or whatever they need to, and they can mess up a psychic unit pretty good. So the thought pattern here with the Alaris, so I've actually taken all the tanks out of my list. I was running 2 was good. When I was running 1 tank, it just didn't feel like enough. So I decided to lean more into some guard. And then with the Alaris, over like the Wardens, is just that ability to pick up and redeploy. And then what I wanted to do is make them a little bit more chunkier than doing like 3 2s. So adding that extra 1, because that's 12 wounds with a 2-up, 4-up T7 body to remove, right? They're hard to move, and I can bring one of them back. So per battle round.
As someone who plays both Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, and Grey Knights, I can definitely tell you, despite the fact of the toughness adjustment for vehicles, there still isn't an innate advantage just to infantry in general because of the rule of being able to move through buildings, innately usually having enough OC for taking objectives,
Yep.
just being a cheaper options a good chunk of the time. Um, Leading more into an infantry heavy list does add a lot of benefits that having heavy vehicles doesn't always give.
Yep.
Um, there needs to be a certain element of points efficiency in order for vehicles to be more viable. Otherwise, heavy infantry is usually a great option, in my opinion, still.
Yeah, and so those Alar's blocks are putting out 15 attack, strength 7, -2, 2 damage, re-rolling into characters, vehicles, and monsters. Re-rolling wounds.
Yep.
And the Custodian Guard get to re-roll ones all the time, but they get to re-roll all their wounds on objectives that they control. So spicy. All right. Myles, Eldar. I'm going to let you go over this one again. You know a little bit more Eldar than I do.
Okay. First of all, I don't like it in Battle Sky, but you know what? That's fine.
Anyway. I know. We're going back and forth between Battle Scribe and depending on where people put their lists.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, so he's running Elect Night Spear, an Autoic Way Leaper, Phoenix Gem, so he gets back up on a 2-up with all his wounds. He's got a Farseer, a Spirit Sphere with the Fate's Messenger. I'm going to have to quickly double check that one because that one is not one that I am immediately familiar with. He's got 10 Rangers, 2 units of 5 Shadow Specters, a Warlock Conclave, 2 units of 5 Warp Spiders, a brick of 10 Wraithguard, 2 units of Wind Riders, 2 Hornets with 2 Bright Lances, and 3 Warwalkers with 2 Bright Lances.
Now the Warwalkers, I think, hit on 4s though normally, right? Or are they heavy and they might get a boost to 3?
I actually believe they hit on 3s.
Do they hit on 3s?
They hit on 3s.
Oh, it's not the Warwalkers. It's the Wraith, not the Lord. Is it Wraith Lords? There's a Wraith that's in there that does hit on 4s, and he's the one I'm thinking of.
Probably the Wraith Lord. I'll just quickly double check that.
Yeah, the Warwalkers are the cab dudes. Yeah.
With -1 to wound against shooting and a 9-inch scout, they're a pain to kill with shooting.
For 110 points with 2 Bright Lances. Yeah, sick.
So this is also another interesting list. It's in a way, there's a lot of similarities with what Jake has, but there's also some very stark different contrasts.
Yeah.
Elect Night Spear with 10 Rangers has a lot of tech to what you can use for that. The whole unit is lone op, so being able to Phantasm 7 inches away makes it a very hard unit to kill with shooting or charging. They're great at picking out characters, so when playing Sites of Power, that's going to be might be very important for denying some primary. The Spirit Seer, Fate's Messenger, it was once per turn after making a hit, wound, or saving throw model, you can change it to a 6 instead. So if you need to, it's another Fate dice you can use in addition. But it's attached to that unit. Shadow Specters, mobile unit, great for dealing with elites, also has a good blast. War Spiders, lots of torrent shots, great for dealing with chaff, also great for secondaries. He's got the Warlock Conclave, which is likely going to go with the Farseer. I think he's probably going to be buffing the big unit of Wraithguard with the Farseer, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
The rerolls. The Conclave protects the Farseer a little bit.
Yeah.
The main thing to watch with this list is that big brick of Wraithguard are going to be. It's a hammer that you have to either deal with or entirely avoid and ignore. Because if
they're like GSC aberrants, right? You either have to commit to killing them or you just ignore them. So
even if you do, you have to account for the phantasm, for the move, them shooting back at you potentially, them getting a model back in each of his command phases.
In the game against Shayne CSM in the tournament, he phantasmed them forward, and I was like, "What?" And then
they move slow, so doubling their move for a CP, sure, I'll do that.
Oh yeah, and then shoots back and almost kills the egg in his turn, and then replenishes a guy because I think he lost 3 or was it 4, right? So it was quite interesting. It was a cool play. I never quite seen it, so it goes to Myles, power of thought, where he wanted to put them and what he thought. He was baiting out something to get in to shoot, and then he phantasmed them forward and be able to shoot them, right? So
The part I like about this list specifically is that other than the Wraithguard, most of his units aren't. He has maybe one unit that's gonna be 180 points with Illic and the
hmm
Rangers.
hmm
Everything else is small. It's fast. It's good for doing
yeah,
secondaries in a pinch. He's able to deal with a variety of threats. The Bright Lances are great into vehicles still.
yeah,
Shadow Spectres and Warp Spiders can deal with threats, and then the Wraithguard, of course. So
yeah.
I definitely think with the Myles is a very good player. A little
Yeah.
rusty, so I know he's trying to get some more games in, but I think he could take it decently far. So I'll
Yep.
have to see how he ends up doing as results.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right. Patrick's Tau. 2 words.
Guns. 2 words, thank
Okay.
you.
One word is guns. 3 words is cyclic ion blaster. And man, does this list have a lot of them.
Do you want me to go over this list as well?
Well, it's basically a gun line on top of a gun line on top of a gun line. What is Tau?
So it's not actually much of an actual gun line. It's more
Yeah,
of here's a ball of guns that I can throw at your face.
that's true.
The amount
With
of
some shenanigans.
it's gonna very much come down to how much he overcharges those guns and how lucky
Yes.
he is on those overcharge tests.
So I've played Patrick where I believe he took over 60. It was He's gonna kill me for forgetting this. It was over 60, I believe, hazardous tests, and he failed 3.
I've also seen him shoot a unit once and lose half of the unit off of that one
Exactly.
overcharge.
Yes, yes. So it all depends when it comes down to those ones when he's rolling those hazards tests. And so if you've never played Tau, each suit, so he has 6-man blocks. He has 2 6-man blocks, 1 3-man block. The 2 6-man blocks have characters in them as well that also have cyclic ion blasters. Every suit puts out 9 shots. There's 3 guns because the 4th part of their battle suit has a shield generator.
Except for the characters.
Except for the characters. But the characters put out 12 shots. So when that block of 6 go off, you have to roll 18 hazardous tests plus the 4 from the character. So 22 hazardous tests. And if you fail one of those, it's 3 mortal wounds. And if you fail, because they're all vehicles. Now, the other sick thing about this list is because they're vehicles, when you charge them, they can overwatch you in combat.
So that part I know is a bit for up debate because there's been
Mm-hmm.
some rules issues with out of phase
Mm.
due to the fact that big guns never tire and pistols specify in the shooting phase. There's some argument that because it's an out of phase ability, when you use Overwatch, you can't use those rules, just like firing
Oh,
deck. So that's
interesting.
I think Dan has already clarified this or will be clarifying
Oh,
this.
we'll have to find the FAQ and double check.
The funny thing though is that with this list is that
Mhm.
we'll go over the entire list and I'll talk about some of the parts that are especially terrifying to deal with. So he's
Yep.
got Commander Farsight, which I
Yep.
believe usually goes in the 3-man unit. Shadow Sun, which gives out a 6-inch bubble of reroll 1s to hit. The first commander, Coalstar Commander, which has Exemplar of Carrion, which is the unit he's with, counts as being in
That's disgusting. Cow
second battle
Young.
into the third. So they get
Yes.
sustain hits 1, or if they're being
No. So when they're in Cow Young, they get sustained hits 2.
That's when they get spotted specifically.
Oh,
They
it's spotted.
usually
Yes.
are getting spotted.
Yes. So every time he hits you on a 6 is 2 extra shots
Yes.
from turn 2 onward from that 6-man. So in Overwatch, I've literally been hit 5 times, which turned into 15 times.
The second unit has, or the second Coalstar Commander has position of the Patient Hunter. So he gets
Yes.
+1 to hit, and then from the third battle round onwards, he gets +1 to wound as well. Interesting little piece there, possibly for dealing with vehicles later on. He's got a 10-man preacher team in a double fish. He's got two 6-man units of crisis battle suits with shield drones on all of them, cyclic ion blasters on all of them, and shield generators on all of them. A 3-man unit, exact same concept. A ghost kill battle suit, 2 piranhas, a unit of stealth suits, and 2 tetras.
Yeah, everything else on that list is basically spotting for the heavy hitters. The ghost keel is also stealth and lone up.
Yes.
So that's the problem with a lot of this list, is that the characters that aren't part of units, which is Shadow Sun, is lone up. I think she has stealth. And then the stealth battle suits, obviously, it's in their name, right? So that they're not lone up. So this is a very spicy, like, if you survive his punch and you can hit him back hard enough, you can get through him, but it's surviving that punch.
So there's a couple things in here as well. It's not just I shoot you, that's how I win. There's a couple interesting little pieces of tech that Patrick does have. The stealth battle suits are interesting because once per battle, they can use a rapid ingress on one of the units for 0 CP, as long as they drop within 3 inches of the stealth suits. What's funny with this is that if he drops Farsight with one of the units, depending on if he's running up against, let's say, a night list, he can throw Farsight in one of the 6-man units, toss them into reserves, and then turn 2, they can tactical ingress down. And then when it gets their turn, they can move forward and get within 9 for +1 to wounds. So you're going to have the, 9 shots a model. So it'd be 54 shots hitting on 3s with full reroll hits from Tetras, giving them that. And then +1 to wounds. So they're winning knights on 4s or some other big target. Yeah.
So disgusting. So, no, very good lists. Patrick is also a good Tau player. So,
may the odds be in your favor, Patrick, and I hope you don't roll ones.
Yeah. Right. Rookies, Tyranids. So, Crusher Stampede.
So, to quickly go over the rules for Crusher Stampede, if any of his big monsters are below starting strength, they get +1 to hit. And
so they get pissed off.
Yes. And if they're below half strength, they get +1 to wound in addition.
Yes.
As for his list here, he just has the 1 enhancement, which is Ominous Presence, which gives the Neurotyrant +3 OC.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah. Oh, and actually, he's also got the Norn Emissary, which I believe allows to pick an objective, and then he becomes a freaking madhouse on the objective.
OC 15 and a 5-up Feel of Pain.
Yeah. So nasty. And then so the one thing that we saw on this list that was very, very interesting, and we're not sure exactly what he was doing with it. He's got 2 Carnifexes, but they're not together. And he does so that he can't put them with one old one eye. Old one eye can go with 1, I believe.
Yes.
But he can't run all 3 together. So maybe that was just for getting more units on the board. We're not 100% sure, because you want to run old one eye with a Carnifex.
So I will counter because I was looking at this. So the Carnifexes already have a rule where if they get damaged at all from shooting, they can move a D6 +2 inches for free. They suffer from the issue of hitting on 4s normally. However, if they take any damage, they're hitting on 3s. So that probably helps make up for that a bit there.
Okay.
Meanwhile, if they were a unit of 2, you would have to lose a Carnifex to get the +1 to hit. I'm almost wondering if he will add Old One Eye to one of the Carnifexes for that reason. We'll have to see. In addition to help for that, one of the things that helps is that there's a 1 CP strat for Crusher Stampede for a Tyranid monster to get full reroll hits in melee. So that can, again, make up for the issue of hitting on 4s.
Yep.
So that could be why there. But this is definitely a big stompy list.
Oh, yeah. No, this is what T9 minimum list.
Yeah.
The Biovores I think the Biovores, or maybe the Neurotyrant is the only thing that is less than T9. I think the Neurotyrant is what? Is T8?
It's T6 for the Biovores. Tyrannifexes
Yeah.
are T12. A whole bunch of the big monsters have 2-ups armor saves, and then potentially with
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
Rupture Cannons are terrifying.
So at least, he's got the acid spray on one, and he's got the Rupture Cannon on the other. That acid spray is brutal. So I mean and the Rupture Cannon's no slouch either, but it's the acid spray is what I fear the most out of this list. So
Scary flamer.
Yeah. All right. And he's got the Neurogaunts, which are going to help with him just spreading synapse and everything. No, I think I think this is a good list. I think he's got the Exocrine, which is also going to give you +1 or reroll ones. So anything that it shoots, if your army shoots it, you get to reroll ones.
Yeah.
So good list.
Yeah. Let's see how he does.
All right. Ryan's Dark Angels. So I mean, Terminators. I mean, there used to be more Terminators, not as many now, but
every army looks like a nail, and he has hammers. That's the way he probably sees it.
So I always give him a hard time because he's running Gladius, and I'm like, come on, man, you need to run Dark Angels, but he's running Gladius. So he's got an Apothecary with the Polter Discipline, which I believe is what gives you sustained hits on a 5. In the Dev Doctrine.
So they get sustained hits 1, and then while you're in Dev Doctrine, it crits on 5. It crit hits on 5.
Yeah. So big thing there. Obviously, the Biologist is going to go in with the Aggressor Squad. Azrael is going to go in with the Hellblaster Squad, and then obviously the Captain and Terminator Armor is going to go in with the Deathwing Knights. So, yeah, go for it.
So the Aggressors will have sustained hits, potentially 5-up, and then so will the Hellblasters because of Azrael.
Yes.
So there's a lot of shooting in this list still.
I hate the Hellblasters in this list. I hate them.
I will shoot you. Overcharge. I die. I shoot you again.
Exactly. Oh, I kill you in combat. Oh, you shoot me with your plasma pistols, and I'm overcharging. It's like, oh my god! Like there is so much plasma that comes out of that unit, and Azrael just buffs the crap out of them. Like he is one of, I think, the better characters in the game. I mean, he does some serious buffing. So the Aggressor Squad, like I also play Salamanders. I like Aggressors. Mine are Flame, obviously not Bolters, but they have one drawback, and that is they hit on 4s, and their ballistic skill or weapon skill 4. So if you have any minus to hit, that means they're hitting on 5s. Now they are twin linked, but when you're hitting on 5s, there's not a lot of twin link to reroll.
I think that's where Oath of Moment's really key in.
Oh yeah, Oath. Oath is huge on them, but I've been into them, and I had a Dreadnought into them. I was playing Ryan, and I had a Gladys Dreadnought, which was -1. Actually, no, it's not the Gladys. It was something else. I was -1 to be hit, and it was nasty for him. It was actually, the big thing was the Gladys is -1 to wound in combat. So T9 -1 to wound. Oh, nasty. So
yeah, especially since your Custodes can give -1 to hit as well. So
that's where the -1 to hit came from. That's right. Yeah, that was what it was.
Hitting on 6s.
Yes. Yeah. And then the Gladius was like, you're dead. So the big thing in here is in the Deathwing Knights, the Mace of Absolution. They're 3 damage, but they're AP1. But he can buff it to AP2
with +1 to wounds because of Lance.
Yes.
It's I had to run in this unit, and he picked up an entire 10-man unit of Paladins with the Grandmaster in one sweep. It was brutal.
Oh, dude, I know. I've faced that down, and it hits hard. So now, if you can Armor of Contempt, that will help out significantly, even with him buffing. But again, 3 damage is tough to swallow. So
I don't know. I used Charm of Contempt. I did roll amazingly, but it's every. They have so many. They have what 4 attacks a model, I believe.
yeah, they're crazy. They're very powerful.
So
I think they're 4 attacks. Yeah, hitting on 2s. And then the character allows them to do a strat. So then that's what's going to give them either the switch them into a different doctrine, or it's going to give, I believe, or it's going to give them the +1 AP on the lance. So
the scary part is that he has these 3 hammers that are going to be roaming around the board.
Yeah.
Probably dropping the Deathwing Knights, since there's a Captain of Terminator armor for the reroll charges.
Yeah. That's what he did to me. So he actually rapid ingressed them into me, and it was not good.
But he still has 2 Inceptor squads for dropping wherever he needs, up to 3 inches away, do secondaries, even just be a threat for shooting. The Infiltrators for scoring objectives, and then he still has a Whirlwind and Predator Destructor for sitting probably further backfield, and a Callous Assassin, which is always great for secondaries.
Yes. I think this list will actually give like a Custodes list a little bit of a challenge with the fact that my -1/2 damage will get costed higher, and then but yeah, the thing with this list is that he pushes out his infiltrators, so you can't get into him, and then he comes and then he throws you into is it tactical? Which one's advanced and charge?
That would be assault.
Assault puts you into assault doctrine, and those freaking Deathwing Knights, which rapid egress, then get to advance in charge and just smack you. And then he's shooting you with the Hellblasters. And if you decide to try and kill the Hellblasters shoot you.
I'm going to put a bet here. I'm willing to say Ryan's at least going to get in the top 10. Because
it's a good list.
It's a good list. He's a good player, and there's a lot of threat to it. As long as he doesn't run into something that catches him off guard, and he's doesn't make mistakes, he can definitely go pretty far with this.
Oh, for sure. For sure. All right. I think this is the last of the team. Shayne's CSM.
No mercy, Mitchell.
No, this was a couple of changes over the tournament list that he was running. And you know, I'm going to just say a few things because I know you played against him, so I want you to take it home with it. But I knew that your matchup, and I was rooting for you. I actually had Grey Knights going all the way. But I didn't realize you were going to get Shayne turned. Actually, no, they were already drawn. And I thought to myself, if Shayne zones you out, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what he did. This list has such a footprint. It's crazy.
I'm going to make 2 quick comments about that before we get into the main list. A, I've made a lot of mistakes that game. B, there's some things I've realized I can do that, looking back, I could have used to create an opening for myself, but that's in the past.
No, and I think going into this list, like the thing that's a little bit crazy with it is, okay, the blitz, they just don't blitz, right? I mean, they can hit what they want, kill what they want. They're very tough. Right, they're very tough, and they're hard to kill. They're 5 wounds, which is insane. You got the Venom Crawlers for pressure. You got the Warp Talons for just distraction. Right, the Nurglings kind of just fart around, move, block. But then the Forge Fiend can pick up models. It's brutal, especially with him Dark Pacting, and if he rolls hot with those sustained, that thing goes into a lot of shots, and then you have his brick. The brick is his chosen aren't his brick. It's a tough brick, but it's not the brick. The brick is the Terminators, and they got the anti-infantry combi weapons. And the way that this list is that mob of cultists. It's not the mob of cultists actually. It's a cursed cultists. It is so hard to kill. And it takes up so much board presence that, and then he zones you, and then he just hits you with what he wants. So I'll let you go over it a little bit. Take it home on this one.
Okay, so immediately he's designed his list to abuse the Nurgle stratagem of
Yep.
reactive load op.
Yep.
He's made some tweaks to make this better than what he had in our little RTT.
Yep.
That brick of a Cursed Cultist, they can potentially advance up to 12 inches and still charge. They have a 5-up invuln across the whole unit. On the turn they advance and charge, they can get +1 to hit and +1 to wounds. And then if you try to shoot at them, you can just go, no, lone operative.
Nope. Yep.
Which is terrifying because it's usually a unit that sits close to the center of the board and zones you, where either you have to entirely ignore it and push, and on the turn you push, you kill what you're going for. You have to kill it in one sweep, or you need to avoid a bubble around it.
Yeah.
It's such a problem unit. Any armies that can't deal with it might find themselves drowned by them, which opens up the opportunity for Venom Crawls are great at picking up smaller light units that are trying to go for secondaries, and they themselves are fast. They're 12-inch move with a 5-up invuln, and they're small vehicles, so they're great for secondaries.
Oh yeah.
The Warp Talons, and I'm glad he's kept them. He's annoyed because they don't always do what they do in fluff, but what they do is they're 100 points, they're 5% of his list, and they're usually guaranteed to get him 5 victory points, which is 5% of what you want to earn. They do their job perfectly, and if not, they're zoning.
And also one thing is that you can rapid egress them, and if you're into mushier targets like elves or whatever, they will pick up what they hit. It's they won't pick up elites, but they'll pick up what they hit.
You still have to respect them, which is the
hard
part.
Yeah, because don't they still move 12, right? And then
they can also charge for a CP.
Exactly, right? I mean, I think, and then he uses that also in his Chosen, I believe, right? So this list, it seems not very fast, but it is deceptively fast, because anything that's slow, deep strikes.
It has good shooting through the Obliterators, the Venom Crawlers, the Forge Fiend, the Terminators. It has great melee presence through, again, the Obliterators, the Venom Crawler, the Terminators, the Chosen, and the Accursed Cultists, and the Warp Talons. He's got cheap units for doing actions. He's able to, he's got really good experience for zoning out. As you said, I'm playing Grey Knights. He denied me like 3/4 of the board. And if I stuck my nose out, Forge Fiend.
Yeah.
That thing's
which is perfectly designed to kill elites, right? So,
and again, it's Nurgle. So if you go for a turn to try and deal with Forge Fiend, he can just go, no.
I thought that was one change. No, that wasn't the one he changed from Nurgle. I know he made a couple changes because some of this was undivided before. I think the Accursed Cultists were undivided. Yeah.
And he used to have a Chaos Lord and Terminator armor before, but now he has a Sorcerer Lord and Terminator armor, which I like. It doesn't provide much for the Terminators, but what it does is that when it's on the board, he can pick units, I believe either within 18 or 24, and any other shooting, or I believe attacks against that unit have an extra AP. So the Venom Crawlers are AP2, the Obliterators are AP3. God forbid you're in combat with the Accursed when that pops up and tags you. It is
so he gives you the Sorcerer. If this model's you leading a unit, you can reroll advance and charge rolls. And like you were saying, anything within 12 inches visible to the Psyker on a 1, the Psyker takes D3 more rolls, but on a 2-up, each attack that targets the enemy unit gets AP bonus of 1. So and the big one too, once per battle when an attack is allocated to the bearer, you can damage the characteristic down to 0.
That's a nice little bonus to help with any snipers or such. This will be an interesting list to see how it does. Shayne's
absolutely.
He going to 10th. He's only had a handful of games, but he's just clicked right in his army and he's been piloting it fairly well. So
no, for sure. CSM, I found out how nasty they could be in Tacoma, especially if you are hitting 5s and 6s, and those Obliterators, man, are brutal. And I mean, everything is right. I mean, the fact that you get the sustained and the amount of firepower that this list can put out, it's crazy. So.
Yeah.
All right, guys, appreciate it. That was all of our team lists. We're going to quickly go over a couple of other ones that we wanted to just highlight. If you ever get a chance, like, subscribe, the whole shtick, leave comments, engage with us. And then also our YouTube membership is up there. It really allows us to create more content, do these tournaments, do all these things that we want to do, and get more content to you guys. So, quickly going over a couple more lists because we just hit an hour, so let's rip through. Clayton Tate, baby. I saw this list and I went, we got to talk about it. And I'm going to just say one word: Stompa. And I'll let Dan take it away.
This man has, if there's going to be a hobby, we're going to talk about the hobby for a minute. This man has a gorgeous army. Everything is
Awesome.
painted to
Gorgeous.
a professional standard. The Stompa is 100% converted. It's taller than the normal Stompa, but again, he usually plays at the correct height, and it's such a cool. He modeled it so it's this giant. It doesn't look silly. It has actual proper legs, and if anyone gets a chance to look at pictures from the event, I think it'll be posted on the Kippers Melee Facebook page.
This man's army is beautiful. If you want to know how to paint orcs, talk to this man. He knows what he's doing. So
I'm going to say a couple interesting things for this list because I like it. The 20-man unit of boys with a war boss that has a 4-up Philopane, and the Weird Boy, which I think those are probably what's going together. That's the unit that can either sit inside the Stompa for safety, pop out. At the end of the movement phase, the Weird Boy teleports the unit on a 2-up, 9 inches away. And then the Weird Boy has a psychic range attack that hits on 3s that if it's a full unit of boys, is strength 10, -3, 5 damage, precision. It's an arc sniper. God forbid. If they start on the board at the beginning of the movement phase, you can give them +2 move and +2 advance and +2 charge. So if they teleport, that's a 7-inch charge. Captain Badrook with 10 flash kits have so much shooting. God forbid you are against that. Have you ever fought against flash kits at all, Mike?
Those are they're the gun ones, right?
They're usually the piratey gun ones that have all the flash. They have the.
I played Andrew's orc list in an RTT a little while ago, and I know they put out quite a bit of shots, like a tremendous amount of shots.
And even though I believe they hit on 4s, if I wanted to, I could double check that quickly.
Let me grab them. They
sorry, no,
they're
they
hit
on 5s, unless they stand still. They hit on 4s. But Captain Badrook gives them full reroll hits, and they have sustained hits 1. And if they
put out a lot of damage,
the closest enemy unit, they get an extra attack.
Yes,
there's a fair amount of shooting. The only other thing that really catches my eye, I know a lot of players in orc communities don't like the Stompa. A lot of times they've had poor receiving ends. But that little 45-point mech is going to be hiding behind that thing, healing D3 every turn, and making it hit on 4s for shooting instead of 5s. So hopefully that works out for him. It's a gorgeous army otherwise.
No, I think this will be a really cool list, and I'd like to see. And like I said, the hobby quality on this is like so good. Garry Sacco was in our tournament. He was, he played really well. The man knows how to play his Black Templars. This is a bit of a change of his list from the tournament. He had a couple more Dreadnoughts. He's dropped them in favor of the VanGuard veterans. He also has a Castellan with, I don't know what that enhancement is.
That is the 5-up Philopane for the unit.
Okay. Yeah. So he's got that. And what's spicy? The Justiciar. So that gives you fight first.
So that, I believe, is probably going to go with a 6-man unit of Blade Guard veterans he has. I haven't seen those on the table in 10th edition, so I don't even know what they do.
They are not too bad. They can do some work, especially when you if they can hit first. They've got power sword, strength 5 -2 damage, but they also have shields. So the shields give them I believe they have 3. Yeah, they have 3 wounds each.
with the 4 invuln, and then they can either get
Yeah.
real ones to hit or real ones for invulnerable saving throws. That's really interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh.
So interesting abilities there. The Ballistus Dreadnought, he's only got 1 this time.
Still good.
For sure. Infiltrator does infiltrating things. The Sword Brethren, that's that other block. You got 2 Redemptors. Now he's got his 2 Whirlwinds. I haven't played against a Whirlwind, or I've played against a lot of Marines, but no one that's brought the Whirlwind. But they do look pretty nasty.
They can pack a punch.
Yeah, and then the Caladius Assassin, just to help pressure some strats, make them more expensive, do secondaries. So all around good list. I think Garry will do well with this list.
I agree.
And then Ian's Guard. So we wanted to bring up Ian. Ian is a player from the island. Ian Harris. I've played Ian, I want to say, twice. He spanked the crap out of me with his CSM, with his damn Cryptus Claw thing in 9th. The first game I ever played him at Kippers.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 years ago. And then I played him. It was somewhere else I played him. And we ended up tying. But Ian is a good guy. He always has fun lists. And the big one in this one is the Doomhammer. The big Doomhammer is coming out. So I know you said you had some other stuff on some other units in this.
So the Doomhammer is fun, but I have my eye right now on that Crassus assault transport he has, and I'm fairly certain he's stuffing all those Ogryn in it.
Yeah.
It's a fun little thing when I looked at it and I realized that you could have the Ogryn pop out, and if you're within 9 inches of them, they have 6 shots apiece. So he can have them hitting on 4s with real 1s to hit. I think if you get an order off, they can hit on 3s. And if they shoot it with the Crassus shot at, they get full reroll wound rolls. So you're looking at up to 108 shots hitting on 4s, rerolling 1s, rerolling all wound rolls that are AP2. So
I think he borrowed all the Ogryns he could possibly get his hands on, because if you notice his list, he has 3 units of Ogryn squad, but only 1 that's 1 under. But it costs the same amount of points, unfortunately, in 10th. So I guess he's either that's a typo or he doesn't have the extra Ogryn body. So
either way, this is just going to be Doomhammer, Crassus with Ogryn, and then a Malcador Defender. Just 3 giant vehicles rolling up the board. So
yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool to see. He always likes big transports. That's his thing. Like when I played him with his Charybdis Claw, like that thing is disgusting. That thing is so disgusting. It's got like 4 Meltas on it. Yeah. JT McDowell's Ynnari. Yeah, so I've played JT a bunch of times. Just we're in the same league in BC, the same division, and usually he's rocking the Drakari, but now he's got the Ynnari out. So, big thing about this list is obviously like the Encarn, right? Huge. I don't, he's got a lot of Dark Lances, like we said, a lot of fast moving shooting. You probably know a little bit more than I do on this list. So I'll let you, put in what you need there. I don't know what the Weeping Stones enhancement is.
So the Weeping Stones is every time the bearer's unit destroys an enemy unit, you roll a d6 and add it to your fate dice pool. So the way he has set up right now is that there's no Farseer in his list to give him auto 6s. So I think that's sort of a supplement to make up for that. It is a 15-point upgrade, and it's on a unit of 10 Wraithguard. So they should be picking up units to give him extra dice there.
Yeah, so the Wraithguard is the other brick of this army.
He's got a Night Spear, which is going to go with 5 Rangers. He's got a Spirit Seer that's going with the 10 Wraithguard, I believe. He's got the Incarn, stupid model, still good. You have Rain, which the only option I can see on this list that they can join legally is the Corsair Voidsguard, which I haven't seen, so I'm a little curious about on. He's got a Wave Serpent, which I'm assuming you have Rain and the Voidsguard are going in, because the Voidsguard has the Scout rule. So I think that allows the Void Serpent to scout forward and such. He's got a Night Spinner. Anyways, he's got 5 Sweeping Hawks to drop down probably for objectives, and then he's got the 2 Ravagers and 2 units of Scourges, which are just filled with Dark Lances.
Oh, so many Dark Lances. So
he has a lot of shooting, but
yeah,
not a ton of melee that I can see other than
no,
Ynnari.
yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
know how this is gonna do. I haven't seen
He's-
any of his games.
He's going to want to keep his distance and just try to pick you off.
Yeah.
So on day 2, table 4, this list is going to do really well.
Yes, a lot of open shooting.
Yeah. Kezra.
Yeah.
So the only Art of War player up here. Kezra is a good friend of mine. I've known him now for quite a while. So again, Ultramarines list. He's got the Apothecary Biologist with Bolter Discipline. That's going into the Aggressor Squad. Now, the interesting thing is, because when you're Ultramarines, you get to have all the fancy toys. You also get to put in there, you get to put Magnus Calgar, which comes with his own Victrix Guard. And on top of that, I'm going to butcher this, Ural Ventress. Who is a 75-point character, just gets to just say you get to deep strike. So now you have an aggressor squad that can show up anywhere.
Imagine them tactically ingressing behind a wall.
Oh, I know. It's scary. It's scary with the Biologist and Calgar, which has other shenanigans. I know he gives you a CP. He's got a whole bunch of other stuff that he can do, and he's no slouch. Twin-linked fists, everything,
So that unit will have sustain hits 1, lethal hits. Yeah. If it's Devastator Doctrine, you crit hit on 5s. They get full real wound rolls. Magnus Calgar lets the unit fall back, shoot, and charge, or advance, shoot, and charge. Automatically get an extra CP. Calgar himself is a bit of a monster. Plus, he gets extra bodies with the Victrix Honor Guard. It's just a little brick of a unit that is gonna be hard to deal with, I want to say.
And you can basically, what you do is you start taking your wounds on the Victrix Guard, because they've got the 4-up invul, right? And then you go work through the aggressors, and then down to Calgar himself. So then you've got the interesting thing. He's got 2 Inceptor squads. I know one's Bolter, one's Plasma. So they can come down within 3 and just shoot you off objective. He's got the Incursor squad and the Infiltrator squad. I'm surprised he's not running 2 Infiltrators, but they both get to push forward. And then he's going to have a Librarian in one of those squads. And then not only do you have to worry about this brick that gets to rapid egress or deep strike around you, and again, it can advance and charge because of Assault Doctrine and everything. You have 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts that are -1 damage, T10, and can put out a tremendous amount of damage. 2 Whirlwinds to keep you honest, and as a lonely unit of Inquisitorial henchmen who will just be sitting on an objective somewhere.
So with the Incursors, I think that was a pick because might have been short on points to get another Infiltrator squad. And the second part is that when they shoot at an enemy unit, any other units that shoot at the unit get +1 to hit.
That is nice.
So those
that is very spicy.
Or the Whirlwinds, that helps I think for a lot of that.
Because are the Whirlwinds heavy, or are they?
They are. So they are heavy, but what this allows them to do is that normally the heavy would counteract the negative from indirect, but now that they're getting +2 with -1 hit. So now they're hitting on 2s, I believe. Because they hit on 3s base. Because you'll get -1 to hit for indirect, but then the +2 still stacks on.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah.
That's nasty.
So
and then, so this is Castle City. He likes Castle City, but it's a list that can hit you wherever you are and can do some real damage.
This is a hammer and anvil list in fluff, in my opinion. This is a very fluffy hammer and anvil. You've got your brick of Redemptors holding the line, Wolverines supporting from behind, and then you'll have the aggressors drop down and push, for usually from the flank.
Absolutely.
Also, beautiful army. I am jealous of this man's painting skills.
Kaz's painting skills are. I mean, if you get a chance, check out Kaz Paints on Facebook. His Gilliman has won him awards. So yeah.
He has a true, I believe it's actual Ultramarines blue for his Ultramarines army.
Yes.
It's such a rich tone.
And the kit bashing that he also does, like he also puts on the pauldrons that have the raised U. Like, I mean, his army is beautiful. So, and the last one that we were going to throw in here, I don't remember his last name, but it's Sean.
Yes.
It's a Votann list. There was a couple things we had a couple questions on in this list, but I mean, overall, it seems like, you know, the Hearthkin Warriors are going to go in the Sagittars, so they get to break up basically combat squad. But at the end of the day, we didn't know where the Grimnar was going to go because he's the only thing he can join are warriors. So he's probably going to be free floating, probably a 65 point cheapest thing he could get to hold an objective. But what's interesting is he's got a 6-man of Thunderkin. Thunderkin erase vehicles. They can just smash vehicles. Then he's got a 3-man, so he puts down the 3-man to distract you, drop a 4 or drop the 6, whatever, or he's just dropping them wherever he wants on the board. Or sorry, I shouldn't say that because they do come in from reserve. I don't believe they deep strike. So then you've got 15 Hearthguard, and then you've got the Land Fortress, and then 2 units of Pioneers, and then a ton of characters. So I do like this list. I think I like Dan's a little better. I think it gave a little bit more versatility with having an extra unit of bikes, but this list will hit hard as well.
So this one's a bit interesting as well because it's more of a mechanized Votann than what Dan's
Yes.
running, which is leaning very heavy into Hearthguard.
Yeah.
Votann are interesting because the changes they got were such a huge sweep that they went from the bottom to very much close to the top.
Yeah.
Performance wise.
Yeah.
The Sagittar have good shooting. They are only 100 points, and the Hearthkin Warriors are great for objective grabbing.
Yes. Because they also sticky them.
Yes. I do question if I don't want to say if there's enough firepower because 4 Sagittars and a Land Fortress is a fair amount of shooting.
Yeah.
And then he can supplement that with a Thunderkin and the Hearthguard. I think I just worry about things getting tagged up in melee, maybe, but that's going to depend on how he positions.
So one of the things I don't have in here, just because we're fighting for space, is so obviously the Pioneers are loaded out with, you know, the rotary cannon and the, you know, all their fancy stuff, but the Land Fortress is rocking the conversion beamer, so that I believe is getting the sustained hits, right?
Yep, if they're beyond 12.
Yeah, and then the Hearthguard is all so it looks like the 5-man. Oh no, that's they're rocking plasma.
All plasma. Okay, they're usually that's the better option because it's AP minus 3 shots.
Yeah, but actually, oh, hang on a second. They also got the Volcate disintegrator and grenade launchers. I'm just trying to go through the list here, see if there's anything. Yeah, teleport crest. So he's got the teleport crest on the 10-man. So he's only got the wave field crest on the 5-man. So they've got to be going into the Land Fortress, most likely. Yeah, and then all grab on the Thunderkin, and then obviously the 10-mans are kitted out, right? So missile launcher, Magna Rail, Medipack, the whole 9 yards. So I mean, this list has got quite a bit of damage output. The crazy thing is being able to judge 4 targets is just
he
crazy.
Does have the high-las beam cannons on all the Sagittars, so those are 2 shots hitting on 4s, so potentially 3s. Strength 12 minus 3 d6 with sustained d3. So he could spike with that. A little interesting. He's got anti-armor with that a bit, especially with the Land Fortress helping.
Yeah.
The Hearthguard do deal with hordes pretty well, just because of those glass grenades that they have.
Yeah, I know. They're nasty.
They can get sustained 2 on, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know what? He has a fair amount of shooting. I think he could probably do pretty well with this.
Yeah.
It's just that Grimnir that confuses me, but
Yeah. No, it's a good list. So I think that, guys, that's going to wrap up our list review. Again, like, subscribe, all of the above. YouTube channel membership allows us to keep creating this content. We're going to do a video when we're back, sort of look at how the team did, and look at what won. Right, we'll break it all down for you guys. Yeah, anything else you want to add in there, Dan?
just anyone going to the event that's listening, as much as it is nice to win, I will always encourage try and what's that? 5 friends, not 5 wins. It's still important that earlier in the 10th edition, it's gonna be a whole mess of rules.
Yep.
Still try and have some fun. So
Exactly. All right, guys, we're going to sign off from there. And again, like, subscribe, all of the above, leave comments, engage with us, and we're happy to go.
see ya.